we do see Tua sort of join that list, and he is the guy who starts to fall down the draft boards on Thursday night, what would be the one reason?
I think it's just the uncertainty and the timing right now. Look, here's the thing. It was always going to be a risk to take Tua no matter what, just because of the injuries. And I believe that he's healthy right now and would be ready to go ahead and play if the season were to start on time or whenever it starts. But it's the long-term durability that will be a question. And because these teams had to go with the unaffiliated doctor to look at Tua, which it is Dr. Thomas Bird, who is one of the foremost hip experts in the world. But because of that, and because they couldn't get their own doctors to look at Tua Tagovailoa, it just may be too much of a risk for teams that would have otherwise taken him. And I think that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating on so many levels, because you still may look at it and say, well, wait a second, we passed on him because of the times and we should have taken him. Or maybe the team that takes him looks back and says, man, we took him, we took a risk during the times and it didn't work out for us. It is just a question that we won't know the answer to for quite some time. And some teams just aren't comfortable with that big of a question. But there are still plenty of teams that are very interested in him. So either way, I think he'll look back on this and say it was the best that they could do based on the current times.
And that said, I think it's exactly right. It is the timing and the circumstances. But RC, I mean, you opened the show this morning by saying if you see your guy, go get him. How much is this uncertainty? If you were the one who had to make that decision, you're putting your job on the line basically here. Would that scare you off? I mean, could you see yourself pulling the trigger on that?
No,
pick?
it wouldn't. It wouldn't scare me off because we've seen things like this happen. We've seen Josh Rosen be drafted in the first round of one draft, and then you come back and you get Kyler Murray. And I understand Steve Wilkes is no longer the coach, but that was something that they decided to do as executives. I believe if you have watched the tape of Tua Tagovailoa and you believed before the hip injury and you believed before this process that he was the best quarterback in the draft, I understand him falling behind Joe Burrow, but he doesn't fall in the drafting and get out of the top 10 because he is too good of a football player. We aren't tied to these quarterbacks the way that we used to be. It doesn't break the bank. It doesn't set you back. Go get this dude and aim for the stars. Aim for the stars. Hit it outside the universe, and then you become that team. You become a team that wins for decades to come. But if you pass on this guy, and he is what he has looked like he can be, the dude that threw an interception in the second half of the Georgia game and put his arm around Nick Saban and say, Nick, I got this. That's the dude you want leading your team. He's been cleared. You need to go get him.
Dominique, so you used the word subterfuge on this show about 2 weeks ago. Maybe at the end of the day, that's what we're dealing with here. When we're done Thursday night, what number is going to be next to his name? What number is he going? Dominique Foxworth prediction.
I think it's 5. I think he goes 5. I don't think anyone moves up because of the unusual time we're in. I think he goes 5 to the Dolphins. And I think Ryan's lying about not being scared at all, because I would definitely be scared about drafting him. That's why I'm sitting in this little box right here and not out there making those decisions. That's a tough decision to make. I'd be scared about drafting him, but I also I also would be scared about not. Corners ain't scared. Stop it. But I played safety for 2 games. But
now we've devolved into some sort of debate over which is the more courageous position in the secondary. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.